Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call, coming to you live from the CNBC TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. Last day, and thank God it's a Friday. It's been a long week. Markets, of course, have done very well. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Rima and Nigel. Guys, good morning.
Long week, but a good one, right?
Good one, yeah.
Yeah, very good one. And even yesterday in the last 1 hour, courtesy perhaps the expiry, but the markets did spike up.
Well, that's right. The Nifty is, done pretty well this week. I think, 3 out of the 4 sessions were in the green. And the Nifty Bank on a winning streak.
Yeah.
Been a while since we said that.
Yeah, 12 days now. On
10
the
days.
top. So let's hope it's 13. Is a bit of a tricky number. All right, let's take it from the top. You've got, what, US equities, which have rallied once again. So it was that one-day blip, right, which we saw yesterday. And we were talking about that. Usually on the day of the decision and the day after, T+1, T+2, things are looking very different because on that day, there is a Fed decision, there's a bit of positioning, etc., which has to be unbound and all kinds of things. So this is the close last night, 0.5%, 0.94. By the way, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq and the Russell 2000 all hit new all-time highs last night. Now, macro data, by the way, was good. So you had lower than expected jobless claims. And I think the drop in jobless claims is the largest in the last 4 years. And of course, there was a big jump in the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, and that's at the highest level since January. So you got 2 solid macro data points, which I think helped. So basically, the US 10-year Treasury yield went up about 2 basis points or so. Not very large, but we are at about 4.11. Dollar index was up 0.48. We're back about 97, 97.34 around is where we trade. Today, all eyes on the Bank of Japan meeting. There's no US data per se. Bank of Japan meeting decision should come out in the morning in the first 1.5 hours. No big data point out of the US except the fact that its futures and options expiry there and the large volumes, etc., get transacted. Fed is out of the blackout period, the Federal Reserve. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because perhaps you will hear from Trump appointee Fed Governor Stephen Miran, who is the only one on that FOMC who said, well, we should cut 50 basis points. And will he come out strongly in a way? I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, others, of course, also. But I think this one is the one where there'll be maximum amount of focus because he kind of sort of represents Trump's demand that the Fed lower faster and more. Now, Trump, of course, also had something to say about the Russian war and what's happening there. So he said, well, Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, let me down. That's a quote. He said allies must stop buying oil and, a little bit about the tariffs he's imposed on India as well. Now, I don't usually mention single stocks out of in the US in terms of what has happened, but really big moves and all in areas which are relevant for us as well. So NVIDIA announced a $5 billion deal with Intel. And the stock jumped. NVIDIA was up 3.5%. Do we have the price? Yeah. Do we have the price? NVIDIA 3.5% higher. Intel was up 23%. Okay, I don't think we have the price. We had Novo Nordisk, which was up 6%. Big jump there. That announced positive trial results from their anti-obesity pills. Remember, so far, stuff like Mounjaro, Ozempic, etc., you got to take shots. But now we're talking about pills. Again, implications here. Novo was up 6%. And there was a company called ETNB, again, a small pharma company. Roche is acquiring it. Stock went up 85%. After the bell, you also had the old sort of FedEx, which was up 7%. And they basically reinstated their earlier guidance, essentially meaning that they're now expecting better earnings compared to what they put out earlier. Okay, now let's just quickly time the levels here. We've had a good run, very good run. 1,000 points off the lows of 24,400 to where we sort of left off yesterday. The next stop in that sense for the market is the high of 25,669. So that's the immediate stop. It's the second level we put out yesterday, which, of course, after the market crossed the first one yesterday, this becomes the immediate resistance point. Support is 25,210, which is the 40-hourly average, which continues to be dragged higher, pulled higher as the market has inched up. Bank Nifty, 12 straight sessions, positive closes, no signs of a reversal yet. Here, resistance is at the high of 56,156. Again, not very far away, 1.5%, 2% away. And for the Nifty Bank, the support is, again, the 40-hourly exponential average, which is 55,177. So, pretty good going. And we're inching closer and closer. And yesterday was a case in point, right? The Nifty really ramped up. It was not doing all that great. But starting about 2:30, from 2:30 to 3:30, the Nifty moved up 100 points. Nifty Bank rallied from 2:30. Mid-cap index, of course, the bottom was around, 1 o'clock earlier. So, that tendency to try and look for dips to buy, I think at the margin that is starting to come back. I don't want to jinx it, but the chorus seems to be growing a little bit, that maybe new highs by Diwali. So we'll see. It's not very far away. I think about 3.5% from where we stand. GIFT Nifty will give you a quick sense of how we like it to start. We'll pick it up from there. 40-odd points lower is the setup. Nigel is standing by with the F&O stats right now. Nigel, over to you.
Well, Prashant, over the last few days, if you buy the dip, you did make money. And, let's see whether or not that plays out, because after a while, the GIFT Nifty is suggesting that we pull back 40, 50 points or thereabouts. And there are two big points that are playing out for the Indian markets. One is the institutional buy numbers. Yesterday, both of them were on the right side. You had more than 3,500 crores of net buy number coming in from institutions. Point number one. Point number two, the short covering does continue. And the FIs, they've aggressively net short in the system. And those shorts are gradually getting covered. Even yesterday's trading session, 6,200 contracts were covered on the short side. But keep in mind, even after this sort of a short covering, they're still at around 86% on the short side. And just take a look at this. We're bounced 1,000 points from the recent low on the Nifty. And we make this point, right? When the FIs get aggressively net short, don't get nervous. In fact, that could be a blessing in disguise. And that could provide that much-awaited short covering bounce. That's precisely what's happened. From around 1.9 lakh contracts on the short side, just take a look at it. In the last few trading sessions, it's down to around 1.5 lakh contracts, telling you the power of short covering and the way the FIs have got stuck on the wrong side. And in yesterday's trade, it was pretty clear, right? In the live market indicator, you do have the open interest. And on the Nifty Bank, that's where bulk of the shorts were getting built in. And now they are scampering for cover. Even in yesterday's trade, the bigger short covering bounce had come in on the Nifty Bank. And that's what's caused the Nifty Bank to move to a 12-session winning streak, which we haven't seen in a while. So that one's, got its rhythm back. And that's good news for the markets on the whole. The PCR a few sessions ago had gone to around 1.35 odd. That's cooled off to around 1.16. Remember, when it goes to around it's cooled off to around 1.16. When it goes to around 1.6, that's where you see the markets get a little bit overbought. So we're a distance away from those levels. PCR has cooled down. And just take a look at it. The calls as well as the puts, there is equal amount of addition on both the sides. So on the call side, we had a good amount of open interest build up, both at the 25,500 call, 25,450 call, while on the downside, going by the put writing as well, we get straight to the levels. So going by the options here, the 25,250 mark, that's the important mark. You don't want to breach this on the downside. But I think the bears will really want to defend this. The 25,500, 25,500 and 50 mark. That's going to be extremely important level. And that range is something that the bears will be looking to defend. Getting to the other stocks that I'm looking at, you have the Nifty Bank that's found its way. Reliance Industries, that's at a very, very crucial juncture. You need to get it past that, 1,440 odd level. That's the one that could lead the way actually from here on. So I'll be keeping an eye out on the big boy Reliance Industries. Besides that, a few stocks that we'll be looking at, the ones that are moving in and out of the F&O band. HFCL, that's the one that's moved into the F&O band. So we'll keep an eye out on that stock. While yesterday, late in trade, I told you that Oracle could be the stock that comes out of the F&O band. And that's precisely what's happened. So that's another stock that we'll be looking at. And keep an eye out on RBL Bank. There's a high possibility that that one could be making its way out of the F&O band. It appears that the shorts are getting nervous on that particular stock. So that's an important stock, not just for today, but for the next few trading sessions. That's the one I'll be looking at. And besides that, Adani Group companies, some relief coming in there in the Hindenburg case from SEBI. They've got a clean sheet, so those stocks could be active. And the other one during the day will be Vodafone, because there is a Supreme Court hearing today. So those are the stocks that we'll be looking at.
Indeed, and the other big one to watch on the global front will be a potential meeting between Trump and Xi Jinping. So let's see whether we get any more. We seem to have got a framework deal on TikTok, but whether we get any actual details on US-China trade deal.